Hello everybody. Today inshallah we'll talk about the central nervous system in human being. The central nervous system is composed of two main parts, the brain and the spinal cord. The first part of the central nervous system is the brain, and the brain is the largest part of the central nervous system. Its weight about 350 grams at birth, and with the development of the human body, the size of the brain and the weight of the brain increased till it reached 1,400 grams in the adult man. The brain is a precious organ. Because of that, it's present in a bony cage or brain case. This brain case, we call it skull or cranium. Also, for more protection of the brain, it is surrounded by 3 layers of membranes, and these membranes is called meninges. And the main function of meninges is protection and giving nutrition to the brain cell. These meninges are dura mater, and the dura mater is the membrane which lies the skull bone, then followed by the second layer, which is arachnoids. These arachnoids considered the largest layer because it contains fluid, and this fluid is very important to prevent the trauma of the brain, prevent the concussion of the brain. This fluid is called cerebrospinal fluid because it presents in the brain and in the spinal cord. The third layer is called the pia mater, which is directly adhered to the brain surface. The brain is formed of 3 parts: forebrain, midbrain, and hindbrain. Fore means front, it's present in the front area. Mid, central, hind, back. So the forebrain is composed of 3 parts: cerebral cortex, thalamus, hypothalamus. And the hindbrain also is formed of 3 parts: cerebellum, pons, and medulla oblongata. And we will study all the parts of the brain in details. The first part of the forebrain is the cerebral cortex, or it's called cerebral hemispheres because it's formed of 2 cerebral hemispheres, of 2 parts, and these 2 parts is separated by a big fissure, and also they are not completely separated. It's separated, but from the inner parts it's connected by a big bundle of nerve fibers. Also, the surface of the cerebral hemisphere is characterized by presence of depressions, and these depressions is called grooves or fissures, and also of raised area which called folds. So the cerebral hemisphere is composed of grooves, fissures, and folds. Each cerebral hemisphere is divided into many loops. The number of loops, actually 5 loops: the frontal loop, parietal loop, occipital loop, temporal loop. Where is the 5th? The 5th one is not seen from the external surface of the brain. Why? Because it's covered by the frontal and parietal loop. So it lies behind, out deep under the frontal and the parietal loop. What is the function, or what is the main function of each loop? The frontal loop is containing the center of voluntary movement. I mean the motor movement, walking, writing, and so on. This motor movement or voluntary movement is controlled. The controlling centers present in frontal lobe. Also, speech and memory centers present in frontal lobe. What about the parietal? The parietal lobe contains the sensory function or the somatic sensation of the skin, like feeling of heat, feeling of cold, feeling of pressure, feeling of touch. All the sensation that's coming from the skin is represented in the parietal lobe. What about the other sensation like smell, taste, hearing? It's present in temporal lobe. What about vision? The vision center present in occipital lobe. The other parts of the forebrain is the thalamus, and the thalamus play an important role in coordination. Coordination means a connection between the different sensations, except the smell. It's play a role in connection between the nerve that carry the sensation of touch, that carry the sensation of pressure, heat, cold, with the brain center in the parietal lobe. All sensation is coordinated in the thalamus except smell. What about the hypothalamus? The hypothalamus also is a part of the forebrain, and it controls the reflex action. What's the meaning of reflex action? Reflex action means the action that didn't need time to respond. The action that responds is immediate, without feeling of translation in the brain for the meaning of this sensation. Also, it contains the center of hunger. So when you feel hungry, you immediately go to eat something if it's available. If you feel that you are thirsty, you go to drink water. You don't have time to think about from where I get the water. Yeah, you go to the nearest source of water and drink. Also, if you feel tired, you will go to sleep. So all these actions will be controlled in hypothalamus. Plus of that, controlling the body temperature, to regulate the body temperature at 37 degrees Celsius, or controlling the homeostasis of the body. This occurs in hypothalamus. What about the midbrain? The second part of the brain is the midbrain. The midbrain is a connection link between the forebrain and the hindbrain, and it keeps body balance. When you walk, you are walk balanced. You not walk and fall. So this balance is controlled by many areas in your body. One of them is the midbrain. Also, in midbrain there is a connection between hearing and vision centers. Why? Because the balance depends also on hearing and vision. When you walk in the street, you see the street, you see that you are walking away from the cars, away from any rocks in the street, so you can't fall. Also, when you hear any sound, this sound, it gives guide to you. If you hear a horn of a car, you go away from this source of sound to avoid harmful actions. Also, it regulates the reflexes that relating to hearing. If you hear a sound of lion, actually, reflexly, you will run fast. This reflex is controlled in midbrain. What about the hindbrain? The hindbrain, or the posterior region of the brain, containing very important centers, which is the cerebellum, and also the cerebellum is composed of two parts, and the pons and medulla oblongata. The cerebellum have a very important role in keeping balance of the body also. Here with the coordination with internal ear and the muscle. When you are standing up, you feel the ground under your feet. This feeling of the ground under your feet give you some sort of balance. Also, if you have any disease that affects your inner ear, you will feel a sense of imbalance, and you feel that you will be fall down even if you are sitting on the chair. So the connection between the internal ear, the muscle, and the cerebellum have a very important role in coordination of the balance. What about the pons and medulla? It's play an important part in transmission of nerve impulse from the spinal cord to the brain. Also, the vital center of involuntary movement like respiration, swallowing, coughing, controlling of contraction and relaxation of blood vessels. All of these centers present in medulla oblongata. So it is a vital centers for living. The second part of the central nervous system is the spinal cord, and the spinal cord is present inside the vertebral column in a canal formed of bone called neural canal or spinal canal. Why? To protect the spinal cord. Also, the spinal cord is covered by meninges, which is formed of 3 layers: dura mater, arachnoid, and pia mater, similar to the brain. The spinal cord has a hollow from inside, and this hollow containing a central canal. Also, there are 2 fissures in the spinal cord. One is called dorsal and the other is called ventral. And it's divided the spinal cord into 2 halves, and it's not completely separated. The spinal cord is formed of 2 parts, outer part and inner part. The outer part is formed of nerve fibers and it's called a white matter. And the function of the white matter is a transmission of impulse from different parts of the body to the brain, and transmission of impulse from the brain to the effector organs. While the inner part, which is H-shaped and it's dark in color, it's called the gray matter and is formed of 2 horns, ventral horn and dorsal horn, and it's formed of dendrites and cell body and neuroglial cell, and it play an important role in the reflex action. Thank you for your attention. See you soon, inshallah.